back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome. Welcome back to ASMRB. To ASMRB, to ASMRB, to ASMRB. You can call me B, you can call me B, you can call me B, you can call me B. I live in NYC, I live in NYC, I live in NYC, I live in NYC. So it may be a bit noisy, it may be a bit noisy, it may be a bit. Is my phone going off? A bit noisy, it may be a bit noisy, it may be a bit noisy. I hope you guys are doing well. I have a new, I'm recording my audio a little bit differently. A little bit different settings than I have in the past, so hopefully it sounds good and it's relaxing. This is gross and embarrassing, so let's cover it up. Oh, and I'm also recording with like my camera. This I'm recording with the camera kind of mounted on myself. Like, I have one of those what's called a gorilla pod, and it's like wrapped around my neck, and it's very uncomfortable. It's very, very uncomfortable, and it's kind of stabbing my chest. Like, one of the legs is like bent into my chest, and then the other two are wrapped around my neck. So it's also the middle of the day, because that's when I have the time to record. So there's a lot of traffic outside, but hopefully the ambiance of the city is relaxing. But let's cover up this nastiness. We're just at my desk. This cable right here is actually my headphone cable, so it's plugged into my mic. It's coming down into my headphones. Hopefully it's not too distracting. This is my first and only Magic playmat that I own. What really got me into playing Magic was the Fallout decks. I'm not even like a huge Fallout fan, but I had a friend who taught me the basics of Magic the Gathering, and then I enjoyed that, and then I got into playing. We were playing Tabletop Simulator, is where he taught me. And on that, you can just kind of import whatever decks, and I imported the Fallout the Mothman deck, and I really enjoyed my time, and have been playing ever since, and that was a few months ago at this point, maybe like 6 months ago actually. But I thought I'd get all Fallout themed accessories, and then once I did, and I played that for a while, I ended up getting my second deck, which has been, I think it's been my favorite deck I've played, at least in person with. But I wanted to show you my third deck I've ever bought today. Well, I didn't buy it today, but I wanted to show it to you today. Magic the Gathering. When I was growing up, I didn't really play trading card games. I didn't. My brother and I, we would play with trading cards together, but like we didn't know what we were doing. Like we weren't following the rules. Like we had a bunch of Pokemon cards, we had a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh cards growing up, but we weren't like, never had the rules or anything. We just kind of like played and thought we could read the cards, and I don't know why we never like used the internet to search like how to play these games, because I think I would have gotten into it then, but I also probably wouldn't be the person I am today if I would have gotten into it that early. This is a white and black deck. White mana and black mana. This is a really fun pre-con that I got, pre-constructed deck. So, actually, let me just show you because it's a black and white deck, I got black and white sleeves. No, I don't. I got black sleeves. What am I saying? I have white sleeves now for something else, but here's 2 extra sleeves. But these are the, this is the commander. I'll show that to you in a little bit, but here's the tokens all for this deck. I like sleeving, these are called inner sleeves, and I like sleeving, oh, hold on, my partner is calling me. Okay, so where was I? To be honest, that phone call lasted quite a bit. There's a big truck outside. I don't. Wow, that. I don't quite remember where we were, but I think I was just saying that. I think I was talking about these. This is the commander. I'll show you him in a minute. Oh, I was talking about the inner sleeves. So, I like protecting my cards as best as I can. Even the tokens. I like to, you know, I'm going to be tossing these around, and sometimes like you give other players tokens during your match, and I you know, you never know how clean other people's hands are and stuff, so. We have a vampire demon who's flying. Those are pretty, these are strong as fuck actually, because it's a 4/3, and only certain cards can block flying, either another flying creature or a creature with reach. The backside has a 1/1 lifelink vampire. This whole deck is all vampires. So we have this also 1/1 vampire, different art than this one, with lifelink. And then on the backs of these ones, we have Sorin, Lord of Innistrad. Creatures I control get +1/+1. It's an emblem, so not a creature. Oh, there's something else actually. We got the City's Blessing token. a bat, flying bat token, a blood token, which you can tap 1 mana, excuse me. You have to pay 1 colorless mana, tap it, and then discard a card and sacrifice this artifact to draw a card. So some card draw. And then these tokens, these are all tokens that came with the deck. Another bat, flying bat, 1/1. A vampire with lifelink. And another vampire, 1/1 with lifelink. Different art. And then demons. My Alexa is telling me something, but I don't really want to hear it right now, so. Anyway. Those are the tokens for this deck. I have, this is like that thicker, when you get a magic deck, typically a commander deck, there's 2 versions. Two versions of the commander. One's like a thicker cardstock version. I know some people play with this version. I don't really have a. Sometimes they are like look a little bit different and have a different color and shine to it. So sometimes I find it easier to read this card version. Because sometimes when you're playing in like a card shop or someone's house, the lights are like, when you get like this, it's like hard to read the text. But this is the commander. I don't really know how to say Clavino, Clavino, first of the blessed. Legendary creature, vampire, cleric. I have like lines on my camera and I can't see. Maybe I can get rid of some stuff. No, I can't. I have that setting off. Either way, whenever you attack, target attacking vampire that isn't a demon becomes a demon. In addition to its other types, it gains whenever this creature dies, draw a card and create a tapped 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with flying. So basically, anytime a demon dies on my team, I create one of these and get card draw. Well, that's not entirely true. I said that wrong. Because this is a demon and that wouldn't happen here. It's specifically vampires that aren't demons get that ability, and then when they die, I draw and get to place out one of these. So a lot of this deck is like, at least how I've been playing it, is swing as much as I can, and make as many vampires as demons as I can, to draw as many cards as I can, to get out as many of these as I can, because not every vampire has flying. So even if I have especially if I have a vampire card in here that like only has something that triggers when it enters, then it has no other abilities besides just being like a 2/2 creature, and I'd rather have a 4/3 creature flying, so then it's worth it to keep swinging that other one until it dies and I can put this out. I've had fun with playing with this deck. I also wanted to actually switch this out. I got this ivory matte Dragon Shield sleeves. I have yet to use any of them. I don't plan on making a white deck as of yet, but I thought it's nice to have your commander a different color than the rest of your deck, so you don't, if you do accidentally shuffle him in, you can find them. So anyway, I had this in a blue sleeve, and I didn't. That was just supposed to be temporary, and once I got these, I was gonna switch it. So I'm trying to do this through the through my camera monitor. I like those sounds. Anyway, now he sticks out. Empty blue. I may need to use that again, so I'll put it in here. I have some extra, like, stuff there. Anyway, that's the commander. Now, I don't think I'm gonna go through the whole deck, because this is 99 cards, and we're already, like, I don't know, 10, I don't know how long that phone call was, 10 or 15 minutes into this video, so, I don't know why I can't get these all out. So these are already all shuffled, but I'm going to go ahead and shuffle them some more. This is my worst or my least favorite part about Magic is I don't think I have a good strategy into shuffling, and I see people do it like so easily. I mean, I also see people just fucking smash their cards, and I don't really want to do that, but that should be. Is that a good enough shuffling sounds for you? It's a dog hair. DNA. Dog hair DNA. It's not focusing. I'm not going to hold the whole deck because that seems preposterous. Alright, so we have white land again. That produces mana. So does this black land. Swamps produce black mana. Plains produce white. We got, those are the two colors of the deck, but come on. Can I focus this better? Oh, bring it in. Okay. This is Swiftfoot Boots. It's a pretty common card. I cannot get this to focus very well. Dusk Legion Zealot. This is a vampire. When he enters, I draw a card and I lose 1 life. So this is like one of the ones that it's a 1/1 and the ability only triggers the once when it comes in. So this would be a great card to, like, when I can, start swinging with him so that when he dies, well, swing with him when I have my commander out. Because when he dies, I can get this, and this is flying and does so much more damage, 4/3. So, you know, that at least that's how I play this deck, or how I've played this deck. Showing you guys this makes me want to. I haven't played this deck enough. I want to play it some more. We got more lands. Carmen, Cruel, Sky Marcher. I don't even think I've seen all the cards in this deck yet, because this one's a flying 2/2. Whenever a player sacks a permanent, I put a +1/+1 counter on Carmen, and I gain 1 life. When Carmen attacks, I return up to 1 target permanent card with mana value less than or equal to Carmen's power from my graveyard onto the battlefield. So a good way to cheat out cards This works obviously really well in this deck when I'm purposely swinging and getting someone like him killed, and he's in my graveyard, and I have this out. So then when I swing this, sack. There's ways to sack permanents also in this deck, but this one's a 2 cost. So this one says mana value less than or equal to its power. So I could cheat this out without any +1/+1 counters. Yay! I've been watching this ASMR creator. I am spacing on his name. I don't remember what his name is, but he kind of inspired me to do this type of video. I think what's so interesting is, like, I find it really relaxing to watch someone kind of show and tell and do things, even if I have no passion about them or know anything about them. And he has like, a lot of his channel is fountain pens and like calligraphy, and I barely write anything anymore, but 2, I don't own a single fountain pen. I used to in middle school and high school. I begged for one for Christmas, and I finally got one. I think my mom thought it seemed like a waste of money because, like, she didn't think I would use it all the time, but I did. But I didn't know really how to upkeep them, or like what I kind of assumed as a kid that if I got a pen like that, it would just make my writing look pretty, not realizing there was like skill and art to calligraphy. It's not just the pen. Anyway, this content creator, I'll either have it in the description or a pinned comment on this video for his channel. But I've been really enjoying watching his stuff because I know nothing about fountain pens. I've learned a lot through his stuff, but like, it's just nice to see someone have like a passion for something, and like a show and tell is just so relaxing, and showing you things and teaching you things that you don't know about, even if you'll never use that. Like, I may never use a fountain pen. I don't know. I think it's entertaining and very calming and relaxing. This vampire Vampire Cleric is a creature, Twilight Prophet, has flying. It's a 2/4. Has Ascend. I'm struggling to read this because my camera is in my way. Let's see, if I hold it down here, can I read it? Ascend, if I control 10 or more permanents, I get the City's Blessing for the rest of the game. It's pretty big. At the beginning of my upkeep, if I have the City's Blessing, I reveal the top card of my library and I put it into my hand. Each opponent loses X life and I gain X life, where X is that mana, the mana value of that card. So pretty sick, pretty awesome. This is one of the ones that like I would hesitate to swing with and maybe not attack with, because I wouldn't want to lose that ability, because that continues to trigger. It's not just an ETB or entering the battlefield trigger. Even though technically, like, this does more damage, there's systems and abilities that sometimes outweigh just dealing outright damage to people. More lands, black and white. I got Command Tower, which again is another land. I can tap it for any color in my commander's color identity. Talisman of Hierarchy. This is talismans tend to be ran in almost every deck, I want to say, because it's a colorless, or you can tap it for typically the colors in your commander, but you lose a life. It deals 1 damage to you. Anyway, those are usually I see it talisman almost Well, they're in almost every pre-con. I would assume they're in almost every commander deck in general, but we've got Dusk Legion Sergeant, creature vampire soldier has menace, which means it can only be it has to be blocked by 2 creatures minimum. It has the ability where I can pay a colorless and a black to sack it, and each non-token vampire creature I control gains persist until end of turn. Persist means when it dies, if it had no -1/-1 counters on it, I return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a -1/-1 counter on it. Why would I want to do that? Oh, I guess it's a way to save. Okay. Yeah. This could be a good, like, anti-board wipe thing. So if someone's trying to clear my board, I could do that, sack this guy. All my creatures would die, but they'd come back with a -1/-1. That's actually sick. I like that. I haven't drawn that or played that card yet in this deck. This is Mind Stone, also pretty common in Commander. I feel like it's almost ran in every deck, or in a lot of decks. At least precons. I mean, every precon I've had has Mind Stone in it. Radiant Destiny, which is an enchantment. Ascend, again, if I have 10 or more permanents, I get the City's Blessing. As Radiant enters the battlefield, I choose a creature type. Most likely I'm going to choose vampires, because that's what my whole deck is. Creatures I control of the chosen type get +1/+1 as long as I have the City's Blessing. So, just makes kind of all my creatures that I have just a little bit stronger. Another enchantment, Promise of Alcatraz. Alcazotz. Sorry. It's hard to read. I'm trying to read it through my camera monitor. Cost a black and a colorless. At the beginning of my end step, I may sacrifice a non-demon creature. If I do, I populate. I create a token that's a copy of a creature token I control. So that's pretty crazy in combination with... Well... Yeah. That, you can... I'm thinking that there's some good ways to use that, but... and then this also has Foul Rebirth, which is a sorcery, so I can cast it as the enchantment or the sorcery. I sacrifice a non-demon creature. If I do, I create a 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature token with flying. So that's a way to get around having to swing with it to make it a demon. And I just get to do that. Kind of this ability with my commander without having to make it a demon first. Another vampire, Knight, Oathsworn Vampire, enters the battlefield tapped. I may cast Oathsworn Vampire from my graveyard if I gained life this turn. These are the cards. These are the type of cards that I need to remember about, because if for some reason he's in, I don't know, if you're playing against a mill deck or something, he's in the graveyard, it's very... Sorry, I keep swinging air on you. Onto the mic. I gotta remember I can cast some cards from the graveyard sometimes. Blade of the Blood Chief. Whenever a creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on equipped creature. If... This is an artifact equipment. If equipped creature is a vampire, I put 2 +1/+1 counters on it instead, and it's only 1 cost to equip. This is an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, I create X/1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink. At the beginning of my upkeep, this has a X cost, meaning I can pay 2 white and then however many X I want. Sorry, I wanted to make sure that that siren didn't get too loud. It got pretty loud because it drove right by. If my devotion is to white and black is greater than 7, I create a 4/3 white. So just more tokens, more vampire tokens. If I have enough devotion to white and black, which is how many of these little icons I have. So this would count as a 1 white and 1 black devotion. So this would count towards 2 out of the 7 that I would need. Attacking vampires I control have death touch and lifelink. When a vampire I control dies, I may pay 2 life. If I do, I draw a card. So more card draw. This is really, really sick. I like this card a lot. It's a 5/5 and costs 6 mana. 6 mana is a lot, but it's a strong card. I don't need to do anything. I don't even need to ever swing this for its abilities to work. And because so much of my deck is like kind of sacking or killing the right vampires, this will work well with. This will work well with that. I'm sorry, I don't know if I said that because my camera battery died. I had to switch it. Another white and black land, I can tap it only for white and black, only if I control a swamp. So I have to have a swamp already out. Another creature, vampire with lifelink. When Bloodline Necromancer enters the battlefield, I may return a target vampire or wizard creature card from my graveyard onto the battlefield. Again, really strong, really solid. 5 cost mana in total. Another land, Voldaren Estate. I can tap and pay 1 life to add a mana of any color and spend this mana only to cast a vampire. Or I can pay 5 mana and tap this to create a blood token. This ability costs 1 less mana to activate for each vampire I control. So this guy out, I would only have to tap 4 mana to tap it to create a blood token. There's a way to get a lot of blood tokens out, theoretically, because essentially the whole goal would be to have kind of an army of vampires, and then this would be free to tap to create a blood token, which is better than just tapping for a colorless. I like that land a lot. Legendary Planeswalker. I've never been able to cast this yet. Create a 1/1 black vampire creature token with lifelink is the increased loyalty counter. Decrease -2 loyalty counter. Get an emblem with creatures I control, get +1/+0. And then the -6 loyalty counter. Destroy up to 3 target creatures and or other planeswalkers. Return each card put into a graveyard this way to the battlefield under my control. So this is, I could use it on someone else and steal cards from people, or I think what's better in this deck is I have my commander out, I swing with 3 of my, I basically have 3 vampires that aren't demons. I swing with all 3 at some point, make them all demons. Then I could destroy all 3, get 3 of these out, and return all 3 of them to the battlefield. So then I would just basically get 3 of these out for free, and then have the other vampires back. So that's a cool little thing. Another playing land. As Secluded Courtyard enters the battlefield, I choose a creature type, and I can add 1 of any mana color to spend only to cast the vampires, because, gonna make a vampire. Or gonna choose vampires as the creature type. Also can tap for colorless. Another vampire with lifelink, pay 2, sack a creature, and I put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire I control. So again, this is strong to have out in order to sack, so I don't even have to have I don't even have to get my creatures killed in order to bring this out. I could just sack them myself. This is Temple of the False Gods. I've been reading online that most people cut this from their commander decks. You can just only activate it if you have 5 or more lands. It's 2 colorless. I don't know. I find myself drawing it a handful of times in my games and using it, and I think using it pretty well. So it's like it feels weird to cut when I've used it so well. I don't know. Maybe there's better lands to switch it out for, I guess. Another creature vampire with flying. Whenever it enters, whenever this or another creature I control dies, each opponent sacks a creature. So that's pretty fucking strong with this deck. It is a 7 cost though. Another high card. Give me one moment. Swamp, Artifact, Soul Ring, you tap that for 2 mana, really good. Another land, another artifact, tapping for mana, just more mana stuff. And that's that section of the deck, about a third of it. We're going to do the next third here in a sec. I'm going to pause the recording though, because I'm going to FaceTime my grandpa. There we go. Okay, we're back. We're gonna finish up the rest of this deck. I don't want to make it. We're kind of crooked. I don't want to make this too long of a video to have to edit, but I want to make sure I try and show you as much as I can, because I want you all to sleep. I want y'all to go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. I have this new metal ring around my lens. It's for something else. It's for like a teleprompter, but it kind of makes some nice noises. Anyway, this next legendary creature is a vampire knight with lifelink. Whenever another creature dies, I put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. And when this creature dies, I create X/1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is this creature's power. So the idea is to stack up counters on this as much as I can. When this dies, create an army. Pretty fun, pretty cool, pretty fun, pretty cool. Sorcery spell for 3 mana. 2 black, 1 colorless. To choose a creature type, target player draws X cards and loses X life, where X is the number of creatures they control of the chosen type. So this is like kind of a more aggressive sorcery. I could use it against someone who's, I don't know, playing like a sliver deck. And say, or like, you know, orc, or what's that? A goblin deck or something, and be like, hey, you draw X. They have like a goblin army or a sliver army. Pretty cool. Pretty neat. You could also technically, I think, I could use this on myself. And if there was a way, there's definitely a way to avoid losing this life, or like gain it back with some of the cards we've seen in this deck so far. So definitely could be powerful to use on yourself as well, actually. Well, especially because so much of these have lifelink, you can just get life back like pretty easily. Charismatic Conqueror. It's a creature vampire soldier with vigilance, meaning he can attack and not have to tap, so he'll stay ready to block even after attacking, which is great. Its vigilance is a very strong ability. Whenever an artifact or a creature enters the battlefield untapped and under an opponent's control, they may tap that permanent. If they don't, you create a 1/1 vampire creature token with lifelink. Another army. Just make another more vampire creature tokens. Sorcery, each non-vampire creature token gets -X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of vampires you control. Again, This is so strong in this deck. I mean, like, unless you're going against like a really strong, thick green deck with like 8/8 creatures, I mean, I feel like most creatures are 6/6 or less. You get 6 vampires out, play this bad boy, wipe the board, accept your board state. Come on, it's pretty good. Another artifact, tap for mana. You know, another plains, tap for mana. This is a hideaway land. When it enters tapped, and then hideaway 4 means I can look at the top 4 cards of my library. I exile one of them face down, and then I can play the exile card without paying its mana cost if I attacked with 3 or more creatures this turn. So kind of a way to cheat out a card a little bit later. Takes a little bit of prep, but still good. Another vampire creature card with when it enters the battlefield, I draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the number of vampires I control. Similar to that sorcery, but except this is a creature, 4/4 creature. Whoops. Swamp, tap it for mana. Another creature, vampire, shaman, flying. When Patron of the Vein enters the battlefield, destroy target creature and opponent controls. Crazy, love that ability. I love an ETB that just gets rid of something. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, exile it and put a 1/1 counter on each vampire I control. So this would trigger as soon as you destroy something, and then, you know, throughout the rest of the game, as long as this is on the field, you know. Another land, enchantment. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. This is so strong in this deck, because it just, not only does your opponent lose life, you're essentially doubling that life loss because you're gaining that same amount of life. It just like makes that deficit so much wider. So even if you hit for 2 on someone, especially in a 1v1, you hit for 2, it's essentially hitting for 4 because you're going up 2. It's just, I love this card so much. Vampire creature. What? Creature vampire? When Gordel vampire or another creature dies, I put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire I control. So, a lot of +1/+1 stuff, a lot of lifelink, a lot of vampires. That's kind of this whole deck. Another creature, vampire noble, flying. When it dies or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and I gain 1 life. Again, this in combination with this enchantment, dude, I mean, you just are sucking people dry, kind of like a vampire. Sorcery, choose 2. I can destroy all artifacts, destroy all enchantments, destroy all creatures with mana value 3 or less, or destroy all creatures with mana value 4 or greater. I love getting this sorcery when playing into like a green deck, or like a dinosaur deck, or a dragon deck, something with like huge mana costs, because most of this stuff, most of my creatures at least in this deck, are fairly low cost, so I get them out and then just destroy all, board wipe them, all the bad people. So swamp, tap for black, you know, sacrifice another creature or artifact. This is a legendary creature vampire, by the way. Sacrifice another creature or artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on Bartolom. It's a 2/1. Another creature, vampire cleric. I can tap it to sack another creature. I add 3 mana. I can spend this mana only to cast vampires, clerics, and or demon spells. It's a 1/1 creature card. Pretty cool. This is really strong. Again, if I'm trying to get stuff out, if I have something that only triggers, if I have a creature that only triggers something on ETB, and I've already swung with him, and he's a demon, right? And it makes more sense for me to have one of these out than that card itself anymore, because it's like, I don't know, a 1/1. I could do this, sack that 1/1 to get this out and get 3 mana. I mean, it's like a no-brainer. Creature vampire knight. Other vampires I control get +1/+1. It's a 2/2. Legendary creature vampire noble has ward. Discard a card. Ward means that anytime this card becomes the target of something, the person, it gets countered unless someone does the ward. And wards can be sometimes pay life, sometimes pay extra mana. It can be a lot of different things. This one in particular is discard a card. So someone would have to have a card in their hand that they are willing to discard in order to target this. Whenever another non-token vampire I control dies, I may pay 1 and exile it. If I do, I create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying. It gains when this creature deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it, and return the exiled card to the battlefield tapped. Incredible. Such a strong, which is why this is such a strong card. So that's why it has a ward, is because it's such a good engine in this deck to like either force people to take damage, or if they want to not, if they can't take the damage, it just brings out the creature back that died. Pretty great, pretty awesome. It's another land, enters battlefield tapped for, myriad landscape. I don't really care about the lands. The creatures are more fun anyway. Swamps. Creature, vampire, cleric. Has flying. Whenever I gain life, I put a +1/+1 counter on Alenda's Hierophant. When Alenda's dies, or when it dies, create X/1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is its power. Pretty great. I want to play this deck so bad, actually. So I may call up my brother and some friends and see if they want to play Magic. This is an instant. You can play it at any time, not just on your turn. So exile target artifact or enchantment. If I cast the spell during my main phase, I may exile up to one other target artifact or permanent, other artifact or enchantment. So this encourages me to use it on my turn, but can also be played on someone else's. Sometimes with cards like this, I never feel confident about, like, when there's like this much of a choice. Sorry, I'm gonna try to make you straighter. When there's a choice like that, I never know if I'm making the right choice. I feel like I always misplay those types of things. I got a swamp. Got an artifact, pay 2, tap it to sack it, and search my library for a basic land, put that card on the battlefield, tap and shuffle. Another way to just get more mana out. A land. Another land enters the battlefield. I choose a creature type. I can spend or tap it for any mana to play that. Only that creature type. Another land enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters, I exile target player's graveyard. It's pretty strong against a deck that, is reanimating stuff from the graveyard. As long as they can't mess with exile stuff, this is a good card to have. This is a black and white land. Enters battlefield tapped. When it enters, I also scry one, so I get to look at the top card of my deck and choose if I want it on the top, on the bottom, and I think I can put it in the graveyard as well as an option. Don't quote me on that. Another land, tap it for a black or a white. When it enters, I may reveal it a plains or a swamp. If I don't, it enters tapped. Another black land. As an additional cost to cast this sorcery spell, I tap an untapped vampire I control. Gain control of target creature. I change the text of that creature by replacing all instances of one creature type with vampire. So I basically steal a card and it becomes a vampire. So that's pretty cool. Adds just to my total vampire count that I control. Whenever this blood artist or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and I gain 1 life. It's a 0/1. So I can't even swing with it, but there's other ways. When Champion of Dusk enters the battlefield, I draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the number of vampires I control. Again, losing life doesn't really matter too much because there's so many different ways to gain life in this deck. Another sorcery, destroy target creature. A creature destroyed this way can't be regenerated. Pretty strong. Damn. Literally is called damn. We have Swords to Plowshares, and it's an instant. Exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. So it's, it's a good thing you could use on yourself if you're like about to die and lose the game. You could at least get some health back, maybe not die, but you know, it's also a great way to stop someone from really hurting you with like a big character or something, big creature, I mean. Yeah. We got another swamp, and then we got another instant. As an additional cost to cast this instant, you gotta sack a creature, but it lets you draw 2 cards. So again, this, when you have demons out that you're trying to get rid of and sack and die anyway, in order to get this token out, it's like a no-brainer. You can sack your own stuff left and right and gain life, lose life, gain more life than you lose, hopefully. But yeah. And the last third-ish of the deck, we have a creature card. It's a vampire with flying, welcoming vampire. Whenever one or more other trying to center this, but I'm also trying to read it. Other creatures with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under my control, I draw a card. This ability triggers only once per turn, so you can only draw once, one additional time per turn. At least with that specific card. There's other cards that'll let you draw more. Enchantment. As Etchings of the Chosen enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Most likely going to choose a vampire. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. All vampires will get +1/+1. I can pay 1 and sack a creature of the chosen type, and target creature I control gains indestructible until end of turn. Amazing thing to have on the ready, on the backup. Maybe if you misplay something, I know I've used an ability like this in other decks to save a misplay, or if someone like tries to counter something or whatever, play some sort of instant to stop me from doing what I want to do. This is great to have because you can, like, when you need your commander out and you need him out the whole time, sack this to keep him in the game type of thing. It's a good card to have. Creature, vampire, Bloodghast. Bloodghast can't block. Bloodghast has haste as long as opponent has 10 or less life. So this is a great later game card to get out because you just swing with this thing. And it's so little that it seems like inconspicuous, you know, but 2 damage that you can't block. Or no, I misread that. I'm so sorry. This can't block. It has haste. Anyway. Also has landfall, so it could actually be helpful to have early on in the game as well. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may return Bloodghast from your graveyard to the battlefield. Oh. So, yeah. It's not necessarily a landfall in the sense of something stacks every time, but you can get this out of your graveyard, which is cool. Especially because you could, sack this, make one of these, right? Once this is a demon, once you swing with it, because your commander will make it a demon, it dies. You make one of these, then you play a land and it comes right back and do the same thing over again. That's pretty cool. I like that. Have not played that card yet. Got a legendary creature vampire ally, Draina, Liberator of Malakir. Has flying and first strike, first strike is nasty. Double strike's even grosser, but first strike is nasty because this damage will be done first before the damage to this would happen. So whenever deals combat damage to a player, you put a +1/+1 counter on each attacking creature you control. Sometimes I feel like the sirens like purposely are annoying. Like, I'm all for ambulances and medical emergencies and, emergency and fire department and stuff being able to get where they need to go, but sometimes I feel like they just doing weird things with their sirens just to be annoying. just kidding. Anyway, I read this card. I don't know what I'm holding it for. Got another swamp. I got another vampire. Viscera Seer, a sacrifice creature, scry 1. Again, pretty nice to have this out, because if there's creatures that I can get to turn into one of these, sack them, get rid of them. And I get a scry and look at the top card? Come on. Easy. Rogue's Passage. You can tap it for colorless or pay 4 mana to tap for a target creature, and it can't tap to target a creature, and it can't be blocked this turn. Got another land. Enters battlefield tapped. Enters battlefield. Return a land I control to its owner's hand. And this is a double, so you get 2 mana for tapping this, not just a single one. Martyr of Dusk, creature vampire soldier. When a Martyr of Dusk dies, or when Martyr of Dusk dies, I create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. This is pretty sick because you swing with this, you make it a demon. When it dies, you can theoretically make one of these and one of these. So getting 2 creatures out of this dying is pretty sick. Pretty cool. Cruel Celebrant is a creature vampire. When this or another creature or planeswalker I control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and I gain 1 life. This is pretty cool because it attacks it or deals damage to multiple opponents, not just a single target. Land enters the battlefield tapped unless I control plains or a swamp. I can tap it for a white or a black. Another artifact, Commander Sphere. You can tap it for any color in the commander's identity. You can sack this and draw a card as well. We got Sanctum Seeker. It's a creature vampire knight. Whenever a vampire you control attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So the damage, I mean, the vampire, like when I swing with a vampire, it doesn't even need to deal damage and it'll still deal damage with this. You know, it's pretty funny. Got a plains. Nighthawk Scavenger. It's a creature, vampire rogue. Flying, death touch, and lifelink. Oh. My dog heard someone come up the elevator. Anyway, sorry about that. Nighthawk Scavenger has flying, death touch, and lifelink. Death touch means that any damage dealt to a creature is considered fatal damage, so it doesn't even need to be strong enough to kill it. It'll still kill it. Nighthawk Scavenger power is equal to 1 plus the number of card types among cards in your opponent's graveyards. This is crazy. This is really cool. Because a small death touch like a 1/3 is scary. You don't want something to die, especially against something that's dealing 1 damage to you. But like having the fact that it can be stronger, and it could theoretically be like a 6/3, like that's when it gets really scary. Because then you can't kill this. Like it's funny. Avona, Butcher of Magan. I don't know. Legendary creature vampire knight. Has vigilance and lifelink. You can tap it, pay 7 life, and destroy target non-land permanent. Activate only during your turn. So obviously, this is a dangerous thing because 7 life is a lot. But with as much lifelink as in this deck, I hope that I could, you know. I just realized some of these aren't. Oh, most of these aren't double sleeved actually. Only the commander. That makes sense. Redemption Choir is a creature, vampire cleric with lifelink. Has Coven. Whenever Redemption Choir enters the battlefield or attacks, if I control 3 or more creatures with different powers, I return a target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from my graveyard to the battlefield. Another way to cheat something back from the graveyard. I mean, Kindred Boon. It's an enchantment. As Kindred Boon enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, probably a vampire, and I can pay 2 mana, 1 colorless, 1 white, to put a divinity counter on target creature I control of the chosen type. Each creature I control with a divinity counter on it has indestructible. That's huge. Huge. Legendary creature, Yahini Undying Partisan, an Aetherborn vampire, has haste, which means it doesn't have summoning sickness. So when you play it, it can immediately attack. Typically, a creature will have summoning sickness, and you have to wait a full... Like, the turn it comes out, it cannot attack until it gets back to the next turn. Then it'll attack. But haste lets you attack as soon as you play it. So whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you put a +1/+1 counter on Yahini and sacrifice another creature. Yahini gains indestructible until end of turn. Again, sacking the right creatures, the right vampires in this deck to not only make tokens, but to do the other things that the other cards allow you to do when you sacrifice or when a creature under your control dies. It's just, I feel like this deck, sometimes some of the pre-con commander decks feels like they're trying to do too much. I feel like the fact that this is all vampire based, it's all about sacking things, gaining life, and +1/+1 counters. It's like all of that, I think, can... Those mechanics in Magic, I don't think are too contradictory that I don't think it makes it too hard to do well with this deck. I think it's a solid precon for when it came out, and even in 2024. Equipped creature gets +3/+1, so this is an artifact equipment. Heirloom Blade, you can equip it for 1. Whenever equipped creature dies, you may reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card that shares a creature type with it. Put that card into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Amazing. Amazing. We got an instant, utter end, exile target non-land permanent. Pretty easy. Could be used on yourself again. To some circumstances, it may be good to use on yourself, but I think a lot of times I would use this to hurt an opponent rather than do anything to myself with it. Another planes, we got a Glass Cast Heart. Whenever it's an artifact, whenever one or more vampires I control attack, I create a blood token. You can pay a black and tap to pay 1 life, create a 1/1 white-black creature, vampire creature token with lifelink. You can tap 2 black and tap this to sack this, and 13 blood tokens. Each opponent loses 13 life, and you gain 13 life. This could be a great way to just kind of end the game if you get everyone low enough. You do that, boom. And even if it doesn't win you the game, and they somehow save themselves, right? You still gained 13 life. Like, it's still not the worst. Maverin Fiend, Dusk of Apostle. Whenever one or more non-token vampires you control attack, you create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. Another vampire token. And the last card, Blood Tracker. Creature vampire wizard with flying. You can pay a black and 2 life to put a +1/+1 counter on Blood Tracker. And when Blood Tracker leaves the battlefield, I draw a card for each +1/+1 counter on it. More card draw. I think that was 2 or 3 solid card draws in this deck. This one's could theoretically draw you a lot. Because this doesn't tap this card, so as long as you have mana up and enough life, I mean, this is a great way to do basically draw enough cards to keep you in the game type of thing. If you're like out, you don't have a hand or something. But anyway, that is the Clavino, First of the Blessed Commander Precon. I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a longer video, and I've got a lot of editing to do on this video in particular because I had, I think, quite a few moments of loud noises and also phone calls in between. because it was a longer video, so I apologize if this video takes me a little bit to edit before I can post it, but I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys enjoy this camera angle. I kind of want to do some cool, maybe just like a sound assortment with this angle as well. I think that would be kind of cool. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you later. Hopefully you're asleep. Okay? Have a good night. 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 Have a good night.